Welcome to another episode of Everything Intellectual Property. Today, we have a very special guest with us. This gentleman has created an inhaler case that not only holds your inhaler, but also holds other prescribed medicine. Please help me welcome the inventor of the inhaler relief case, Darryl Carter.
How you doing? Glad to be here.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited to get off in this one for a number of reasons. I know, just being an alum of Grambling State, play some football here. I'm not sure if you can see my jersey in the background, played at Michigan State back there in the good old days. So they're kind of having that kind of connection as former athletes. Obviously, you went a step ahead of me playing in a couple years in the NFL, which is a cool thing. But also just kind of being an inventor, which you seem like you typically don't see that kind of from athletes or whatnot, which, I want to ask you a particular question with regard to that. But as far as the inhaler relief case, now I can pull it up as well because I do have it on the screen here. Can you maybe kind of describe what that is so that the audience, because this is a video component, but we also have an audio component. So to the extent that, the people listening on the podcast can't look at the actual video that we're showing now or the picture that we're showing now, they can at least get a kind of description of what this inhaler case is.
Well, it's I call it an asthma inhaler relief case, or air case for short. What it does, it holds one inhaler and it's enclosed into a plastic container, and you can clip it onto your belt or put it in your purse or your briefcase. Now, one of the good features it has on it has a GPS chip on it so that if you lose it, you'll be able to find it. You go to your phone, pull up an app, and you can find it anywhere in the world. The second thing, it has a pill compartment that holds 10 to 15 pills. And the reason why that's important with most asthmatics, you got 80% of most asthmatics suffer from what doctors call allergy-induced asthma, which means they're taking 1 or 2 allergy pills a day. And if you can keep that pill in this close to you, you have easy access to your medicine, therefore better managing your asthma condition. So that's why the pill box is important. Then it also has what we call a dose reminder, that it will remind you to look at your inhaler puff counter and so you know how many puffs that you have left on your inhaler. Because most inhalers now come with a counter on it, but it's so small and very rarely do we look at it. And by the time we look at it, you're running out of medicine. So that's one of the other good features of it. And the fact that by having all of your medicine with you at all the time, you can better managing your condition, which the doctors say you should keep it with you at all times.
Right. No, yeah. So it seems like this, the relief case has a ton of different features. And I'm not sure, I guess I actually kind of growing up, I had bronchitis and I was kind of using an inhaler for, a short period of time. And then it seems like maybe I grew out of it, thankfully. But I guess it's an inhaler case, because I remember having, at least at that point in time, I just had an inhaler, which I have in my pocket or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Does inhaler case, is that something that's kind of common as well? Again, like I said, I recall having just my inhaler. This was a number of years ago, but and it seems like your relief case, your inhaler case has a ton of different features. Like you said, the pill compartment, the strap for the belt, the GPS, a lot of different things. But are inhaler cases, is that like a common thing, or is that kind of not so much a common thing?
Not so much a common thing. They do have some inhaler cases, but all it does is just hold your inhaler.
God.
The reason why I came up with mine is, I played sports with my asthma. I was in sales with my asthma, and I kept losing my inhaler case, or I had to carry a pill compartment box to put my allergy pills in. And I kept saying I wanted to find something that was on the market that had everything in one spot. And when I went looking for it, it wasn't there. And I couldn't believe it. But that's when I came up with the air case itself.
Gotcha. So then, and I want to kind of get off into like the what inspired the case, because I think that's a unique story. But kind of beforehand, I do these Shark Tank breakdowns where, pretty sure you're familiar with the popular show Shark Tank.
Yes.
Yeah, and I kind of break down the pitches. And 3 things that I kind of look for as I'm kind of breaking down each pitch, or I've added a 4th one. Me being an IP attorney, that 4th one, I guess, is making sure the intellectual property is protected, whether it's a trademark, patent, copyright, But one of the three things that I look for is the market and whether or not, okay, to the extent that it's a big market for the actual product or the business, then that kind of helps out as far as the business being able to kind of make a decent amount of money. I guess I didn't realize that 40 million people in the US is affected by having asthma, and then 400 million people, if I recall correctly, over 400 million people around the world kind of inflicted with this 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 with asthma. So I guess with that being said, from a market standpoint, is that something that, uh, as you were looking to come out with this product, come out with the invention, is that something that you kind of did some market research ahead of time to kind of like, okay, this is a need for it, or I guess how did you kind of navigate that part of it?
I did the research ahead of time, and that 40 million United States includes 26 million asthmatics and 16 million COPD patients. So, but once I looked into the market, I said, well, this is definitely great opportunity because like of that 26 million asthmatics, 80% of them are allergy induced, which is around 20 million people. So those are the base customers that's going to be, that will use this product, and along with COPD patients. But you have a great market size, and it's very inexpensive to manufacture, and if you can sell it, retail sale price, we're looking at like $40.
Wow. Wow.
So, and you got well over 60% markup in it.
Right. Oh, which is good, which is good. So then I guess kind of going back to the inspiration of the product, and this is something that I always kind of typically like because it seems like a lot of times it's not like, okay, you're within that industry, for a living, such that you kind of coming up with a product. Typically, you're solving a problem that you are encountering on a
Right.
day to day basis. Which again, this is why I think everyone can be inventors, just because we all encounter problems, and to the extent that we are encountering that problem or dealing with a problem, most likely somebody else is dealing with that same problem. So if you was to create a solution to help you out, you can also help out other people. So can you kind of talk a little bit about the inspiration for the inhaler relief case and kind of what kind of brought that on?
Well, the last time I can give you the last time I had a real bad asthma attack. I had been riding around the city with my customer, and we went into some place that had a lot of smoke in it, which stirred up my asthma. But when I looked, I kept using my inhaler, and it wasn't working. Now, there's another group of pills that you can take that asthmatics would take called prednisone that will stop an asthma attack in track, while you're having it. But I had left that in my car, and we were riding around in his car. So I kept, I didn't have the prednisone, and inhaler was running out. So I wound up spending 3 weeks in the hospital because of that asthma attack. And I just said, this had happened too many times, and I'm saying, I'm not gonna ever let this happen again. And that's why I started looking. And this was in 1997 when I had that major attack. So I said I wasn't gonna put my life on the line no more just because of me being ignorant.
Right.
You
Right.
know.
Nice, nice, nice. So did I guess what, because I know we're in 2024, so I guess did you maybe put things on hold for a second? Kind of life happened. I know we'll talk about a little bit. You had a different product that you were kind of dealing with. So what I guess made you after all these years say, okay, it's time to kind of bring out the inhaler relief case in 2024, especially when the last big attack was in 97 that you said, I'm not going to let this happen again.
Well, my first invention, I invented it, and I was also the manufacturer of it. And the company that I sold it to, they would allow me to go sell it across the country. So I was doing that, but also working on my air case. But I had 4 or 5 different designs, and then I started adding the different features to it because I wanted to make it very small in size, but very futuristic, so that a product lifespan would last at least 20 or 30 years.
All right.
And I just took my time, did all my patent research, applied for my patents, and did all those things. Have everything in order so that when I do get ready to go to market, I'm in a lot more control of it.
All right.
And the fact that it's nothing else like it on the market, and the reason why it's nothing that's really came around for it. Most of the people that are in the buying position don't have asthma for these different companies. And when I talk to different buyers across the country, I tell them, I say, show it to anybody in your family that got asthma and see how they react to it. And every time they do that, it's like, I gotta have this now. Where can I buy it from? Because it solves a lot of problems and can keep you from being in the hospital by having your medicine with you at all times.
And that make perfect sense. Just kind of have that all in one, as opposed, okay, you have to carry a pill bottle, or a pill bottle, or some type of casing for your pills, and then you have to carry your inhaler, and then the fact that you don't even have to put all this stuff in your pocket. You can put this on your belt buckle, which even is
Right.
more convenient. And then to the extent that you lose it, you have the GPS and a lot of different other cool features that I think, like you said, makes it a must have. I guess kind of going backwards a little bit. Again, play football. See you representing Grambling State in college, and then went on to the NFL, played for a couple years, and then kind of went off into some sales. I guess, did you ever think that this will be in the future as far as kind of inventing and having products and businesses, or kind of did things kind of just play out like this? Which I know sometimes, for me, and after playing at Michigan State, I kind of look at myself and pinch myself like, man, I'm an attorney and kind of doing that and doing this, and I never envisioned that back when I was kind of even going to undergrad at Michigan State. But
Right.
so, do you kind of have those moments where it's like, man, how did I get here? Okay, I understand. I kind of played football in college and in the NFL, but from sales to ultimately business owner, having invention. Did you kind of do you? I guess, how do you kind of feel about that, and what do you think about, like, okay, that path?
Well, I guess if you look at my background, when I was in college, they used to call me Juice because of my running style.
Okay.
But a lot of my friends that was on the team and other classmates called me Juice because I was a problem solver. Every time somebody had a problem, regardless to what it was, they would bring it to me and we would come up with a solution, that works best for them. And after I stopped playing football, I went in management with a grocery company. And I was up one night and I was listening to a seminar, and the guy was saying that anybody could come up with a product. And he said, for those people that work in a grocery store, you got well over 1 million products, on the shelf. And he said, you can find out what the market needs by the customers that come in and ask for something you don't have. And at that time, they were coming in asking for something to take the depilatory cream off their face for black men that couldn't shave with a regular razor. And at that time, a lot of black men were using depilatory creams in the NFL because if you shave with the razor, the chin strap would make you bump up real good, real bad.
Okay.
So
So is the cream that you're talking about, is that like just shaving cream, or is it something different than shaving cream?
it was Magic Shave Cream. Magic Shave
Okay.
Cream.
Gotcha.
That
Gotcha. Okay.
had it in a powder. Then with my new product they announced, they came up with the liquid form of it too. So I saw that, okay, they didn't have it in the stores. So I started making one, calling up engineers and different people. I kind of just learned the whole steps the hard way by researching it and going to them and talking to them and learning from their experience what to do. Then I made a plastic mold of it. Some guy showed me how to make a plastic mold. And then I went into the hair care industry as a sales rep, as a key account manager. And the president of the company saw me using my razor and asked me, where did I get that from? I said, well, I made it for myself. Then they decided, well, we maybe can use it with our company. But the owner of the company decided not to use it. But yet she knew the vice president of the Magic Shaver Carson Product Company and introduced me to him. And when he saw it, it's perfect. So and then they set me up. I just wanted to license this to him. He said, no, I want you to be the manufacturer. So he put me in contact with all the right people, business-wise, logistic-wise, on how to get the product made. So I learned that product, that's how to do that. And then they turned around and wanted me, hired me in to sell it across the major accounts too. So it's a progression of things that I basically have done all my life. I'm a good problem solver.
No, and curious, kind of going back to the magic shaver, ho how was the, I guess, why did they want you to kinda manufacture it, and kind of for the audience there, you typically, what they say, kinda bring the product to market, where you're manufacturing it and you're selling it, or, yeah, you have it for sale, compared to licensing where somebody else essentially is doing all that and they're giving you a royalty. What made them say, "Okay, we want you to do it," as opposed to us do it and just, essentially license it from you and pay you a royalty. Do you know kind of why they did it like that?
Well, they basically made hair care products for black females and the Magic Shade cream. They didn't want to have to go set up the tooling to do all of that for that particular product. And, like I sold it to them for like 50 cents and they sold it retail for $1.49. So financially, it didn't make sense for them to do it,
Oh, gotcha.
but it was very rewarding for me to do it because even though if I sold it to them for 50 cents, I made 25 cents off each one that I sold.
Yep. So it seems like, yeah, you were making money not only from selling it, like you said, but also from selling it to the end customer, but also selling it to them then.
Right. Correct.
So then I guess kind of going back a little bit on this, because you talked about how they just saw you using a product. Did you have like a patent? Did you know about patents, IP ahead of time to the point where you were saying, okay, I have this product, let me protect it via a patent, and
Yes.
then I'm all good. And then when they sold, to the extent that they saw you using a product, you already covered it. You had the product protected.
Yes, I did. I had a design patent on that product.
Nice, nice. So then what did you know about patents ahead of time or, previously, or how did kind of that? Because again, a lot of people I run into as an IP attorney, as a patent attorney, they don't have a clue in terms of intellectual property. Matter of fact, I just gave a presentation a couple of days ago to the AKAs, a sorority group, and I guess the leader of that chapter that I was giving a presentation to, she's like, man, I didn't realize that IP had kind of so many different avenues, or it was so involved. So a lot of people, they don't know about IP and all that it has to offer. But again, this stuff is extremely it's very valuable. That's why I'm kind of doing the podcast here. So I guess what was your first introduction into intellectual property and patents and those different things?
I started doing the research. First of all, we had back then we had a tour that company that came around and talked about black inventions.
Mm.
And when you start looking at all of the things that people of color have invented, it's crazy. And then I even did research where I found that some slaves invented things and got paid for it.
Really?
Yes, I can't remember the name, but one inventor, he got like $12,000 for some day event while he was a slave. And I'm saying, okay, well, here I am supposed to be a free man. What's my excuse?
I like that.
But the key to it, you have to be patient and do the research. And then you have to go to the experts in the particular categories and let them teach you. Well, they're not going to do it for free, but you got to pay them for it. But you have to be patient and do everything precisely the right way. So from finding out what the previous black inventors had done, how they protected themselves, I just did the research and started doing it. And the biggest thing that helped me was the fact that the internet became available. And you had everything at your disposal right in front of you. But you had to be patient. A lot of times we make the mistake, just go with your first instinct and take it to somebody, and if you don't do the research for the company, a lot of these companies out here will just tell you they can do this and they do that. But when you ask them what they got on the market, it's like nothing.
Right.
So why you find out who's the best at what they're doing and go to them.
So let me ask you this, because again, I talked about earlier how I believe everybody has and we, especially within kind of the black community, we talk a lot about generational wealth and things like that. I
Right.
believe that, and we just talked about how kind of at least African Americans, from slaves all the way to current day, has invented some great things. I love, in February with Black History Month, because I always like to share that. It's something. It's like a post that goes around that talks about all the cool stuff that popular stuff that black people invented, which I love to always share on my social media platform. I always think that, or I'm of the mindset that anyone can be an inventor, anyone can invent a product. But then there's almost this thing of, and again, as a patent attorney, when I tell people I'm a patent attorney, the next thing I hear is I have an ideal. So it seems like we all kind of got creative thoughts or creative ideals. But then it's like, okay, that next step of kind of, like you said, being patient, but being persistent and kind of getting things in order so that you can bring it to life. I guess the two-part question I have for you is, number one, do you think that everyone can be an inventor and, kind of invent the product? And then I guess the second question to that is, why don't you think more people get in the game from just entrepreneur standpoint or inventorship standpoint to have a product and just kind of sell it, especially with the internet and the e-commerce platforms and being able to kind of really make money and build an audience or a community, with the internet. So I guess again, the first question is, do you think everybody can kind of participate in being an inventor? And second question is, why do you think more people don't do it?
All of us can create something, but whether or not we got the willpower to go all the way through with it is a different thing. Because like the first thing that I noticed when I came up with my first invention, well, there's nobody in my family, nobody that I knew in my city. They told me I was crazy for doing it. I looked at some of my football partners and wanted them to invest. They say, man, you wasting your time, and since they have never seen anybody do it, they say, well, you just waste your time. And then when you come out and do it, it's like, well, I didn't think you had the ability of doing it. But, you have to, I'm a kind of a mathematic person. I believe in step by step. If you do everything step by step, regardless to what anybody else, because then I think about me, I've been that person that think outside of the box. I don't think like everybody else. And I'm not really concerned about what you think about me. If you're not signing my paycheck, I could care less. So with all of that discipline from playing sports, hey, I'm just going to follow through. I'm going to follow the steps, what the experts tell me. And if you I have had a chance to speak to Damon John, a lot of wealthy people, and a lot of them will tell you, if you only knew how many times I failed, but all you need is that one thing that hit, you and you off and running then. So go ahead.
No, yeah, and I was going to say I definitely agree with you on that. Again, you talked about how, hey, just because we and the fact that you can use other experts. So I think you were talking about maybe on another podcast that, hey, you're not an expert like engineer or manufacturer, but just being able to surround yourself with it. So I think that's even another reason to, I guess, kind of get off into the game, so to speak, is because you can utilize. You don't have to be an expert at everything, and
Right.
I guess you have to kind of really vet properly so that you're kind of partnering with the right people. But to the extent that you can do that, I don't know. I just think that this stuff, and I've seen it firsthand, and I've helped people change the trajectory of their life by protecting their product and them going out and selling it on Amazon or eBay or whatever these e-commerce platforms. They're making a ton of money and kind of the life changes, and that has happened more than once. So I don't know. I guess I'm just a kind of a firm believer. I guess kind of in that, and the fact that everybody should at least attempt to do it, like you said, and I'm right along with you in terms of the discipline that football has kind of helped me out with, which I think pays dividends. But to the extent that other people can kind of be disciplined and be patient and just kind of really go through the process, I think at the end of it all, I seem like they'd be they'd be happy they did it. And I think you were saying on another podcast that you only have to be right once. It's not like everybody needs to say yes. You just need one person to say yes, and that can be the start of something great at that point.
Well, see, another thing that also helped me when I was with that hair care company, they had a new product that they were bringing into the market. So I was able to present their product to people. Like one of my major accounts was Walmart, present it to them. And the way that they were structured on how they set it up taught me how to do my product. So I got that firsthand experience from, working with them.
Yeah.
And it's a process, you got to cover your advertising, you got to sell it in, and then you got to push your stuff out of the stores if you put it in the retail market. And the second product I got is not going to be in the retail. It's going to be on Amazon and all those type of places.
So then, yeah, so gotta get it back on track of things with the inhaler, the asthma inhaler relief case. So this time around, from a patent perspective or IP perspective, I would imagine that already kind of dealing with that with the first invention. Was it different this time around, or was it more the same as far as kind of protecting the IP? How was it the second time around, especially given the fact that you had already done it before?
What I did was you get the utility patent, then you also copyright the trademarks, your air case and all that kind of stuff. You do all that protection first, and then I'd said it, okay, I'm not going to do retail. I'm only going to do internet or Amazon and Walmart has products online too. Go that way because you don't have to pay for space on the shelf. You don't have to pay a lot of money for advertising. You pay for advertising it online, but it's just more feasible. You make more money doing it online now.
And this was interesting because it seemed like this time around, I know the last product or the first product you had, you manufactured yourself, you sold it yourself, but this time around, it seemed like these were a little different because you had a company that maybe was willing to license it from you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I had went to this company and had investigated and found out they were best at what they was doing, and I was talking to them about making a prototype. And they got into making the prototype and all of the data that I had from a marketing standpoint. They came back to me and wanted to know if I would be interested in them being a partner. In other words, they are manufacturers. They're going to bring it to the market. They're going to pay for the marketing online. They're going to do all the logistics. And we worked out a real good, royalty agreement because a lot of the stuff that they needed, like the market size, I had a lot of expertise from an engineering standpoint and from a marketing standpoint, and it didn't have to pay and go out because I had already did the research.
Gotcha.
And it was research that they could go back and check on. So we worked out a real good deal. We're in the stage now. We just finished making the prototype, and we just going through. It's like a 17-step process that we go.
Okay. So when is it? I guess the inhaler relief case, when is that expected to drop out then or drop?
It's probably going to be sometime maybe at the end of 2025.
Okay. Twice. The end of 2025. Okay, so you guys still kind of a little bit earlier on in things, or at least kind of still have about a year before kind of things get officially released to the market then?
Yeah, because we had to change a couple of things, like in the GPS chip. We had different chips that we were trying.
Yeah.
And I had to find the chip that I liked the most, but something that be available to use worldwide, and it's just easy from a customer standpoint to use.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
No, and I was going to say that's actually kind of brings me to another point that I'm glad you said that because it reminded me to ask you. Obviously, or I know, and I'm sure you know as well that getting a patent in the U.S. only protects it in the U.S. And I was talking about earlier the numbers as far as 400 million people have this issue worldwide. So is that something, or how do you kind of reconcile that as far as, do I protect it overseas via a patent? Do I not protect it? How do you kind of?
First of all, you should patent it in the States first and only release your product in the States first. And then if you're going overseas, there are 4 different regions that you have to get your patent in overseas. And each one of those regions is anywhere from $30,000-$40,000 to get your patent. So, but what we are planning on doing is we're going to manufacture it here in the United States. So therefore, we can control everything.
Oh, yep.
It's not going to be, and the reason why I wanted to have it manufactured here in the United States, first of all, is to create jobs opportunity. But you can control the process and you have a better quality product. Because as you may know, you can manufacture a product that lasts as long as you want it to last.
Yeah.
And I learned that from dealing with Mercedes because I've been buying them for the last 30, 40 years. And, different. If the C-Class is going to break down at 200,000, the E-Class at 300,000, and own company, So you just learn from different things. But by having it here in the United States, you can control the quality of the product and the parts and the pieces that are going in it.
So then, as far as, like you said, other regions that you may be selling, I know Germany typically is a big region. Seems like if you're not kind of manufacturing it in China or some of these other regions, they may be not as worthwhile. But again, I guess the big thing, especially from people I talk to who are kind of selling their product and have protected their IP, a lot of times they don't know that it's time limitations or time constraints that can affect you. It's not like, okay, you protect it in the U.S. and 5 years, and then now you can start selling it, and 5 years later you can go protect it in this country or that country. Typically, it doesn't work like that. You have like due dates or time constraints on once you disclose it here in the U.S. or protect it here in the U.S., then you only have to file for protection in other areas or other countries in a particular time frame. So I guess how do you kind of deal with that, especially since maybe it's not out yet? Do you kind of wait until you kind of start selling it before you kind of make that determination? Or
I,
I guess
I
how do you
wait
think
till
you reconcile that? Because it is a time constraint from an IP perspective.
right. You wait till it's time to get it on the market and then address it. Then when you start, if like say if you're going into China, you got a lot of manufacturers that I know of that I could use, but you make them sign disclosure statements, and it's other ways of protecting it before you get it to the market in that particular country.
Yep.
So you do those steps beforehand. But China is probably going to be one of the last countries that I go into because they got 1.4 billion people, and their asthma market is way greater than ours. And China has always a way of trying to copy or whatever you do.
Yeah.
They'll steal it in a minute.
Man,
Right. And ain't a whole lot you can do about it unless you got, $30-40 million to go after them. You can send a cease and desist order from them, but as soon as you send it to them, then somebody else is doing the same thing. So you have to do it in stages.
I got you. No, that makes sense. It's interesting, and I'm not sure if it's kind of based on industry, but I have interviewed people who they showed me pictures of different warehouses getting raided in China and them being able to successfully protect or enforce their patent that they got in China. So they got a patent in China, and they again got wind of somebody infringing their patent, and they hired Chinese counsel to actually go after them. And it seems like compared to a U.S. lawsuit, the Chinese lawsuit, again, from kind of their perspective, was cheaper, and they were actually able to kind of get the product confiscated that they were illegally selling or infringing on their product. So I'm not sure if that's kind of based on the industry that you're in, or if China just getting a little better with being able to enforce their patents that people actually obtain in China. I'm not sure. Again, it seems like kind of you're the mindset of it's maybe not as worth it to do it, or at least get patent protection in China for various reasons. It's interesting because I have kind of interviewed people who, like I said, showed me pictures of kind of warehouses getting raided by, I guess, the equivalent of a FBI in China as in a way to protect, I guess, patents that he had or others had in China.
And you can do that, but the thing about China, you can go in and raid that one warehouse. 2 weeks later, somebody else is doing it. And they may not be, and you may not find out until a year from now.
Right.
Yeah. But see, my approach, I would go into Africa, India, and Australia or United Kingdom first before I would go into China.
Gotcha.
Africa is 1.4 billion. Asia market, without going into China's like a billion or so. India is like 1.7 billion. So you go into those markets, we all got the same problems, but you go in the same those markets, and you can better protect your product and also be making money, so that when you get ready to go in China, you got substantial amount of capital to protect yourself and protect your product and go after anything in here. So it's people do it different ways, but I found from talking to other inventors and people that know way more than I know, it's a good right way and a wrong way to doing everything. Everybody get it to China simply because it's cheaper to make over there in the market side. Well, it's a reason why it's cheaper to make it over there. But I've known people, even the inventors here, that's that went through China, had things made, and they found they sent a cease and desist letter at least 3 or 4 times to 3 or 4 different companies. So yeah, you can get them to stop it, but hey, 2 weeks later, somebody else is making it.
Somebody else is doing it. Yeah, and that's definitely a fair point. And again, to the extent that, as in your case, I'm not sure how big the market is from a selling perspective in terms of you selling a lot over there. Like you said, I know there's a lot of people over there. I'm not sure if I guess they're buying things at, I guess, the U.S. price point. But again, to the extent that you're not even manufacturing it over there, I know a lot of times I kind of file for patent protection for clients in China because they are manufacturing the product over there. But to the extent that you're not even manufacturing the product over there, it may not even be worth, I guess, getting a patent in China, because it's not like unlike the U.S. market or maybe Germany or another country. I know you mentioned Africa. It's not like it's a big market from a selling standpoint. Like, you're going to get a lot of sales in China, it seems like, compared to maybe the U.S. or Africa or some of the other markets that you mentioned. So yeah, that's definitely a good point. I guess one thing I do like to always ask the guests is, again, this is a two-part question. What was the biggest challenge that you had with things up until this point? Because we all know from a business standpoint, it's not like it's a slow increase of all great things happening. You have the ups and the downs from like a sine wave standpoint. So maybe number one, what was the biggest challenge that you encountered up until this point with this particular product, the inhaler relief case? And then what was the biggest breakthrough that you had up until this point with regards to the product?
Um, Biggest thing was just coming up with the money to do everything. I knew what to do, but you had to, I had a regular job, but then I also had a small photography business that generated the money that I could use, for my inventions and stuff. So as I did different weddings or commercial events or whatever, once I made the money, I put it back into my inventions thing. And then I retired early because I had worked for like 3 or 4 different companies. So I could get more money. Actually got more money retired and working. So all of that fell in place so that I could start, working on the air case and trying to get everything to the market. So
Right.
it just took time and being patient and my wife, once I came out with the first invention, she said, well, look, you can get this done. So she didn't bother me with the second one. Yeah.
Look, and that's a big thing, whether it's investors, whether it's your wife or your spouse. It seems like once you have those wins under your belt, it's easy to go at it the second time around, or at least get people to buy into what it is that
Right.
you're doing, which,
Exactly.
which is a cool thing. And then I guess as far as the breakthrough, would you say the breakthrough is kind of being able to kind of work or partner with that prototype company or the company that was dealing with the prototype to license it from you, or was it another, I guess, breakthrough that you probably would say was bigger at this point with regards to the inhaler relief case?
That was the breakthrough, but I always knew um, it was 2 different companies that I was going to go after. And I knew how to get within these different organizations to talk to the gatekeepers
Yep.
and present it to. But either way, somebody was going to make it happen. That was my approach. Somebody was going to make it happen because, again, I know how to present. I know how to sell the product, and you have your data to back it up. They will at least consider it. So again, somebody's going to say yes. You might have to go through 100 people to get to them, but I'm gonna do that.
And I like that mindset, and I actually agree with that mindset. I think a lot of people, again, even going back to my question regarding why more people don't do it, I just think people don't like the grind of it all. People don't like like you said, have to be persistent, have to sacrifice, have to be patient, especially with kind of the internet and social media. Everybody kind of want things quick. They don't want to kind of go through that grind and that hustle and bustle to be able to kind of get that yes that you talked about. But I think with anything, if you stay in it long enough, somebody is going to say yes, and that can be the yes to kind of change the trajectory of your life. So I
Mhm.
definitely agree with that as far as just kind of staying with it. And at some point, somebody's going to tell you, yeah. I think I was actually doing I do these Shark Tank breakdowns. I think I was telling you earlier, and one of man, what product it was one on I think 2 weeks ago where the guy had a product and he was just kind of calling people, calling people. He kept calling the same people, and
Mhm.
the people got tired of him calling, so they actually put him in contact with somebody else, which ultimately he got $50,000 to kind of for researching this product or kind of creating this product, and ultimately that led to a lot of big things. So again, just kind of keeping at it, man. At some point, they either gonna get tired of you calling, or they go kind of see the vision, or something good is gonna happen, and that's gonna give you that yes, or kind of give you what you need.
And that's so true because you have to be persistent because you may have to show it to them 4 or 5 times before they even see it, before it actually sinks in. So, but again, you got to be persistent. You got to have faith in yourself and belief in yourself. And coming from an athletic background, my thing was nobody was going to ever outwork me on the field.
I like that.
So I carried that on to my professional career. Outwork me in anything. So, and then once I find out the right way to do things, you execute it persistently. And that's just what I do.
No, and I definitely like that, and it seems like, even in your case, just kinda being able to with the one company, seem like she introduced you to somebody else who, was maybe more willing to kinda be a part of things and kinda help you out. It seems like it kinda happens like that from time to time. So I guess the other question is, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs? Again, I always feel like that a lot of people who watch these interviews, and a part of the channel, these are people who they're kind of doing this double dutch. It's like, okay, do I get off into the game? Do I not get off into the entrepreneurship game? Like I said, I believe everybody has ideals, and it's like, okay, whether or not you move on them is one thing or another. So, what advice would you give to somebody else who maybe they have an ideal? It's like, okay, do I go in? Do I not go in with it? What advice would you give to someone like that?
Well, I tell people what I believe is that everybody has a gift, the gift that God gave you. And once you find out what that gift is, there's nothing on this planet can stop you. Because when I did the first invention, doors just open up like crazy. I'm talking to this millionaire, talking to that millionaire, and they sharing all of their expertise with you. This was meant to happen. But you got to put yourself in a situation so that those doors open, and you got to prepare yourself so when the opportunity comes, you see it before anybody else. And that's just being persistent and trusting in your own ability. And, I always say, if you got the talent and God gave you the talent to do this, go forward with it. Because I can't remember the speaker said, he said, it's so many ideas they have died that's in the graveyard because they never act on it. And all we got to do is act on it. You'll do the rest, you know.
And yeah, that's one of my favorite quotes as far as if you want to go to the place that has the most ideals, go to the graveyard because, like you said,
Mhm,
a lot of people
mhm.
die with ideas and never did anything with it, and that's something that I always think about as I'm kind of going through life. Is, I mean, at the end of the day, when you kind of, I guess, get on your deathbed, so to speak, later on in life, you're not going to regret having done something, even if it doesn't work out. But I would imagine that if you have any regrets, is maybe not doing something, not starting that business, not going forward with your ideal, as opposed to saying, okay, it seems like you won't have the mindset of, "I regret doing this because it didn't work out." No, I would at the very least, it seems like you would be happy that you actually tried to do it regardless of whether or not it failed or not. But again, it seems like not doing something that you always wanted to do or really wanted to do, it seems like that's something that will bother you later on in life, more than anything, at least from my perspective. So then I guess the last maybe question I would ask you is, how can people get in touch with you? Any final parting words that I guess you want to leave the audience with, but also how can people get in touch with you to the extent that they want to maybe ask you more questions or follow you? I'm not sure if you're kind of big on social media or whatnot, but how can people just kind of follow you and to the extent that they want to get in touch with you and be a part of what you have going on? How can people get in touch with
Uh, they can give me a call on my cell. I don't have a website open yet for
you? Okay.
anything, but they can call me on my cell. I have a few people. The one, the one thing, it's you heard me on the other podcast with the other guy, and he used to send people down to talk to me because I had expertise with the whole process.
Yeah.
From inventing, from manufacturing, and selling it in. Because can't everybody do that?
Right.
And one thing that I found dealing with black folks, they would come down and talk to me, and I would tell them, okay, need to do that. And they said, well, I need to go talk to so-and-so to see if they're correct. And I said, no, don't come back and waste my time. He sent you down here because I have expertise in it.
Right.
And I don't like at this point in my life, if you're worried about the color of this, a lot of black people seem to think it ain't correct unless the white man tell them,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm not, and just because just the history that we have, and I don't have time to entertain that type of attitude. My
Gotcha.
color, my color is green. If I got expertise, I'm not going to give you any advice that I don't have expertise in.
Right.
I'm not going to waste your time or my time. So if you want to talk to me, and not everything I'm telling you, you're going to agree with,
Yep.
but trust that what I'm telling you works for me. That's the thing. That's the key, though. Everything that works for me might not work for the other individual.
Right.
But don't take my advice differently just because of my color.
Right. I like that. Yeah. No, yeah. And again, as a patent attorney, I guess maybe I don't kind of deal with it as much as far, especially kind of the black
Mhm,
people coming to me for advice. Cause a lot
mhm,
of times, like I could care less. I know you talked earlier about the price of trying to get this stuff protected. And
mhm.
if anything, I really don't want people wasting my time because, I sell time for a living as an attorney. So to the extent that it's looking like you're gonna waste my time. I will sometimes give you the information and let you do whatever it is that you wanna do with it. But, yeah, I'm always a big proponent of just not wasting my time as well. So I guess, did you want to share that, cell number? We'll definitely kinda put it in the description once the interview comes out.
Yeah, it's 214-707-7266.
Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely put that out to the extent that people want to get a hold of you. Again, to the extent that you call him, please don't waste this time. Like you said, he's an expert at a lot of different things, having they had the experience over the years. So please be respectful of Daryl's time, and yeah, not waste the time, because he's gonna give us some good
I
answers.
will find though that most people that do call, they they don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah, but I would probably tend to agree with that as well. So, well, no, audience, hopefully you guys had the pens and a paper, notebooks out, taking some notes, because he definitely dropped a lot of jewels, and I love interviews like this, because I know a lot of times, which I'm cool with as well, people haven't gone through the process the first time, and they, even though they're, whether or not they're having success, or they're kind of still early on in the game. But with Daryl, this is his second time around, so it's not like he's going through this thing for the first time. He's already had success with his first product with the magic shaver or shaker, and now he's kind of back at it again to have even more success with his second product, the inhaler relief case. So to the extent that you have asthma, definitely be on the lookout for it once it comes out. Hopefully, it seems like later next year. And until next time, audience, you guys take care.